You guys are live.
What's up, guys? Hunter Hayes here with my new best friend, Michael Lipinski, right?
Yep.
Am I saying that right?
Yep.
I'm so petrified of saying people's names wrong.
You know it.
Anyway, welcome to this live edition of Hashtag No Filter. And Michael is the director for the brilliant animated, I don't want to just call it an animated video because it's an experience. It's a very represented, it's a well-represented version of the song.
Okay.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
better than probably reality. So, dude, I'm stoked because like we've actually never met until today, literally 5 minutes ago, which I love. So, let's go ahead and rewind because I do want to tell everybody about kind of the process. Although I had very little to do with it, so that I can take zero credit. I remember we were talking about a video. You and I, we were at a wardrobe fitting.
Yeah.
And we were talking about a music video for One Shot. And the biggest thing about One Shot is, you know, it's one of those sort of go big or go home kind of songs because it is, for me, it's new territory topic-wise. And because it's full of real life experiences, it can almost be, you can make the mistake of going too literal or going too production heavy with a song like this. And to me, the song is a cartoon. Like when you hear the opening piano riff, it needed that. So I shot the idea at the team and I was like, man, what if we did an animated video? Like what if I turned into a comic strip character and that's how we told it? Because I don't know why, but for me, that's how I saw it. So enter a video that I watched that I told the team about and found out about you guys and was a fan already. And then we had this conference call at like, I don't know, some ungodly time, like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
After I had not gone to bed early and been responsible the night before. So I remember some of our conference call. I don't remember all of it. How did it go?
You were audible.
Thank God.
No.
Thank God.
No, it was great. You gave us like the best football to carry with. Like you showed up with a lot of passion about this, right? Like
Yeah.
you immediately had this sense that whatever you were going to do beforehand wasn't it. It wasn't right for the song.
Okay.
And you pitched it to us in the vein of just, your life turned into a cartoon, and that immediately just like lit up the room. Because that's just a lot to work with, right? We had heard the song, just started getting acclimated with it, and basically you were saying, it was this combination of superheroics, but the reality undercutting that. You
Right.
know, guy who's out, and the more he drinks, he thinks he's Tony Stark, and he's just not. So no, I feel like for us, you started throwing out examples like Family Guy being a good source of humor, but then the sense that there is an inflated ego that comes with drinking that has a superhero quality, so then we're just bringing that in too.
Right.
So for us it was like Family Guy, Teen Titans, bring them together, you're the star.
Yeah.
So it felt like it was already on the move as soon as you pitched it.
So what I love, I'm gonna actually use this for this. But what I love is that I started sending, and it was funny because we got a good way into the process. I feel like developing the storyline, the concepts, or you guys got into the process and the storyline. And I had this moment, this panic moment of, I need to make sure as many of my friends that are part of the real story are in this cartoon as
Yes.
well. So I texted I first had to go, this is the funny part, music business 101. I texted my lawyer and I'm like, hey, if I text all these people and ask them for permission, what do you need for them to say for me to use them in the video? And so we kind of scripted these texts, which were simple, but I had to like basically get everybody's official approval to be in this video. So once I did, I then started sending them pictures, and I got rough spec of everybody's character. But I mean, I'm sure you guys can figure this out. But for instance, we've got Easy, Jared, Matt, Andy, Alex. Brenton's in there, obviously, because this song is his fault. So the night where I'm talking about, I've told this story to everybody that's heard this story before. Just bear with me. But so I had this really important meeting at the beginning of the year, and it was a Monday morning, and the Sunday night I was so nervous because I had a lot of expectations and a lot of things I wanted out of this meeting, and so naturally I'm scared shitless. So the night before, I decided not to go out and drink with my buddies because I knew that I'd drink too much.
Yeah.
Because I was that nervous, I would just keep pounding.
Makes sense.
And then but I knew that if I stayed home, I'd drink even more because I'd be unchaperoned. So I texted Brent and I was like, "Yo, dude, let's do a Top Gear night because we're both huge Top Gear, the car show.
Yeah.
We're huge Top Gear nerds. So we went and watched Top Gear / Grand Tour, and that's when the shit hit the fan. He put a bottle of scotch in front of me, and I finished it, I think. I don't remember much else after, but apparently I posted on Instagram, but I don't remember posting on Instagram.
Yeah.
And the next morning I thought I was clear because I looked and I didn't see anything, but it was a story, and therefore that's why I didn't see it. And then so Monday, we didn't really talk for a couple days because I didn't want him to be like, dude, you were so messed up. Like, I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And so we didn't talk for a couple days. And then Friday, my buddy John is like, dude, I loved your Instagram stories Sunday night. And I just panicked came over me.
Mhm.
I immediately texted Brendan. I was like, what did I do? And then he started recounting the night's events. And so it was pretty simple. We just sat on the couch and watched Top Gear. But yeah, I got home kind of this Uber that, bless his heart, he must have been the most patient Uber guy in the world.
Yes.
Because I didn't get a bad review from it, by the grace of God, but there's no way I was good company. Anyway, so all that said, it's his fault. But yeah, so I have just a very important question that I know everyone out there wants to start with. Where did the llama come from?
Okay, so the llama, one day, as I'm thinking through the song,
Uh-huh.
right, here's the thing, backtrack 1 second. The song is deep, right? And you know that. Like, no, but the thing is, it is fun, and it's got this great pace to it, and there's this energy to it,
Yeah.
but it is so reflective. And so previously we had done the video for Blake Shelton for doing it to country songs
Right.
with the Oak Ridge Boys.
Which is how I found you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and we got to turn them into animals, which, by the way, turning Blake Shelton into a deer, not the easiest thing, and that was requested. It's like, he's a deer.
Of course he is.
So all that to say, we just came off of doing it to country songs, and now we're doing a drinking song. And so at one point, our producer Jeff is like, are we just going to be doing these like vice-ridden songs for people, right? So the honest thing was, where's the heart in the song? And so I'm listening to the song, and there's a loneliness to it. I was like, this guy in the process needs a confidant. And so for me, there was just one of those moments of like letting my mind wander, figuring it out, and it was like, a llama. It's like, you need something that was something you can cuddle, right? But yet, wake up to and decide, this thing's kind of judging me too. You know? Llamas are judgy, let's just get there. Right? So anyway, and it was just funny, so once I put that out there to the group, it was like, is this okay? Like, are we gonna have a llama in this video? And everyone's kind of like, yeah, and I wanna make sure like everyone's signing off on it. And then all these other llama things started coming up, like some of our other people in development were like, do you know about No Drama Llama? Like, do you know that like llamas were kind of like mascots for this whole sense of like organizing your life too? So it was like llamas in.
Of course they are.
And so you need a confidant. You know?
So we are kindred spirits, and here's why. I couldn't remember mentioning the llama, but when I was in middle school, I used to write independent short films with my buddy Christopher, and we were obsessed with llamas and alpacas.
Yes.
Were in every single film we wrote. We could never get a hold of one. It was never really accessible. But when I saw the llama in like, so I got sent these. I was thinking about if it's on this phone or not. Naturally, my iPhone died recently, and so I had to get a new one. But I was gonna go looking through because I remember getting the sketches from you guys, and there were all of my friends, like different versions of their hair and different wardrobes, like which one is more accurate. And so kind of they were asking me sort of my input and whatnot. But then there was, at the end, there was me, and then there was a llama. And I was very confused because I was like, this seems like something I would say, but I don't remember saying it, which I think is amazing. Anyway, I'm never going to find
No,
it.
but I snuck that llama in the back of that pack just to make sure the llama was out there in the world.
Yeah, and it worked.
Because I wasn't quite sold on it yet myself, but I was like, the llama's in there. For use,
and then there was like an explanation sentence, which was the best, which was like the llama, because like it was kind of like okay, if you're asking, like the llama is the confidant, we felt like, you know, is the Uber driver, is all the people in the story that keep you alive. And so I was like, that's brilliant. That's absolutely
right on.
Yeah. So
it's a spirit animal.
It is it's done. It is gonna happen now for the rest of my life. The llama will be my spirit. I'm okay with that.
Cool.
I'm totally okay with that. Okay, well, I'm excited to see what the fans are asking because I have to say, so I watched this through, 10,000 times. The amount of Easter eggs from stuff that we never submitted as like evidence. Like for instance, the Saint Centered barbecue. was one that a lot of the fans picked up.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't pick up until they did, and I was like, holy crap, they put that in there?
Yes.
The Bro Bridge Arena is brilliant.
But,
I mean, there's so many little Easter eggs. I mean, the amount of research done, borderline creepy, but impressive. But impressive nonetheless.
when you're drawing a person as often as we had to draw your cartoon character, it's like, we gotta know this guy a little bit.
Yeah.
So yes, there's inherently a creepiness. It's weird to meet you and to know your cartoon self so well. To
Yeah.
know Brenton by his cartoon self and then see the real one walk into the room. I'm like, oh, hold on.
Brenton walked into the room and he's like, "You're Brenton. I drew you. I know that."
So we have,
Yeah.
so and also I'll call you guys over in a second, but Trey Bailey, I want to
Yeah.
shout out, and Ashley Malone. We got a whole team worked on this, and we'll try to get some name shout out later. But
For sure,
those guys
yeah,
are highly
absolutely.
responsible for all the major designs, the major gags. Ashley especially just owned your look. You know, she gave multiple looks, and the one you chose was great. I feel like it had this perfect like center energy of like funny with cool, just like bring the two together. And also
Everything I want to be.
and self-effacing too.
That's
So,
awesome.
so then, yeah. In terms of the Easter eggs, when we worked on the Blake one, I think Mike had thrown out some ideas of putting Easter eggs in there, and we got such a great response from the fans who just immediately recognized those things.
Yeah.
And it's also rewarding for us. I feel like when you put a lot of content in, you want to make sure that somebody can revisit it,
Right,
And
yeah.
it has meaning. And so we also felt, okay, little subtext. Felt like there's a little bit of like it's your past in this song, right? It's part fantasy. Your walk down, Broadway has got Bow Bridge Arena for a
Mhm.
reason, It's got your songs, it's got your catalog. The idea of like you're building off all this momentum,
Wow.
But then Trey, and it's not a lot, like Trey pointed out that your dog Cole was like, props to Cole,
Dude.
get him in there.
Dude, Coles, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that might be the new VIP lounge.
There you
It's
go.
Coles
There you go.
Bar and Grill.
Yeah, that
Think
works.
about it, team. Just
Yeah.
workshop it. We'll figure it out later. So, okay, was there anything that you had in there that you guys pulled before I saw the final edit? Like anything that anybody was just like unsure about? Anything?
You're asking, you want to know for real?
Yeah,
You
for
want to
sure.
know like cutting room floor, your audience is ready for that?
100%. Yeah, they know me. Yeah.
There were so many drawings of you getting hit in the butt by the hockey player. Just so many.
Yeah.
And there's a fine line for how that should look. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. Yeah, so yeah, we were like, no, that's just too much. Like, so different angles, no, we're not using that angle. So yeah,
Got
that was
it.
one thing that was cut out. Yeah,
That's
a number of
hilarious.
things. But no, we'd also heard an earlier version of the song that it maybe was a little longer.
Right.
A little bit more filler and more establishing room. And what it did for us, it allowed us to just jump in. We had to like just boil it down, get in. We knew that we wanted each chorus to be a different bar. We knew that the verses had to be picking up with you and saying like, where's he at now in the present?
Right.
So it was really just a matter of tightening.
Gotcha. Wow.
Definitely.
Well, I'm excited to hear some questions. Are we ready to?
Yeah, there's some good
read
ones.
Some questions, yeah.
Okay, I love this one. How long did it take to make this video? Someone's taking, hold on, I'm going to read this actually out loud because Nina says, I'm taking an animation class in college right now and I'd
Yeah.
love to know how long did it take to make this video?
Okay, it's a good question. So combination
Man
of
hours,
Go
man
ahead.
hours versus time.
Yep,
Yeah.
man hours versus time hours. Do you have, Bo, do you have a good approximation?
I don't. Man.
Oh, somebody help me out here.
Well, let me start with this. How many people working on this?
The way this project worked, so we have a core group, right, that was doing development. I was just use this as a chance to throw out some names too. So we also
Yeah.
had Jasmine and Eva were just quintessential. It's great to get different artist voices in feeding it. Trey and Ashley I mentioned before, building up ideas. So core group trying to like build that out. But then on this team, Ashley led up a lot of the animation on the main character. Trey did a lot of the backgrounds and situational drawings, right, like the band playing and all that. But then we eventually also started farming out. So someone out there do the math for the number of people. We had a team, so this is kind of cool, being that it's a superhero video. I had worked on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the day, the 2000s version. Jeff, actual quick question, man
Yeah.
hours, how many
That was when I'm gonna go grab Randall.
He's gonna find out,
I'm
so
gonna grab our
I'm
live
gonna answer
views,
your
so-
question, just bear with me. The idea that we had to do a number of these backgrounds quickly, so we're a small studio working multiple projects at once. I had to get this A-team in there, so Jimmy, Emilio, and Keith worked on Ninja Turtles. I called those guys, they were available, coming out of New York. Then, on top of that, we have Abdel did animation, Tyler did editing, Rhea and Joelle on comping. Trying to think if I'm leaving anyone out. Please shout out if anyone is.
Say Ricky.
Oh yeah, sorry, Ricky Boyd. So Ricky then doing cleanup and animation. So, you know, you get a sense of this team as it's also filling out based on the need. It was fast. That's the thing, the takeaway too. I can give you the hours.
Probably directly on art, animation, 10 to 12 people, somewhere around 400 hours.
400 hours.
Yeah, super.
It's a fast video too, so like you kind of want to keep seeing stuff as you go. So you feel like we have to really pack it.
Yeah.
And with that, with a quick turnaround, you know, it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. It is a pressure cooker, but really fun and creative because of that too. Because you're kind of having to just like run. It's a sprint. You know?
Because we started talking about this when?
Mike.
Was it like, it was CMA Fest?
Yeah, it was CMA Fest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like that
CMA
week,
Fest.
it was that wardrobe fitting that I'm
That's
mentioned
right.
it, and I was like,
Mhm.
you know, whatever. And then we
So
we
first week of
originally
June.
had the slotted date. It was coming out, well, One Shot was coming out sooner than it did, and the video was coming out right alongside of it. So these guys like plowed through, knocked this out of the park, and then got the news that, hey, we're gonna wait 2 seconds before we put this out. And so it was kind of like,
Totally understandable.
I can imagine that it was a combination of like, are you kidding me? And also just like, okay, now we can breathe and kind of perfect if there's anything.
Yeah. No, totally. There was actually that extra little like moving the finish line back just slightly.
Yeah.
We delivered it right before Labor Day.
Right.
So
yeah.
from concept to completion, from beginning of June to Labor Day. So that I hope
Wow.
that answers your question.
Yeah. That's awesome. What else? I'm excited about these.
Okay, so hold on.
Good question.
There's a million questions. Katina 702 asks, what would comic superhero Hunter's superpower be?
Ooh. Functioning well after 3 shots versus my actual non-functioning self after 3 shots. Is that a super? Maybe I should take that back. I should think about this more. What would? Oh, flying. That's a no-brainer. I don't know why I didn't think of that first. Because that was my obsession with Tony Stark, was the concept of flight. But it's still a very human and very, very vulnerable version of flight, because you can go as fast as you want, as high as you want, but you're also susceptible to only being the shape of a human. There's no wings, and when you run out of power, that's it. Like, you gotta go home and charge. And I've felt a connection with that. I mean, I think we all do, but definitely on the creative side of things, I've always felt a connection with the sort of charged battery thing. And I've always thought of creativity as a charged battery, which I don't necessarily now as much, but I think that's why I was obsessed with, like, that's why I mentioned the sort of Iron Man thing, was because,
Yeah.
okay, if he flies, it's got to feel a little bit like this, which it does in that first shot that we see. Yeah, flying. There you go.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you? What would yours be?
Oh, man.
I'd say so. Flying. Oh, this is really lame. I grew up in New Jersey, and I thought a functional superpower would just be to teleport just enough so I don't miss the bus.
That's
Well, it's like, I'm not asking for much. It's just like, there's nothing worse than watching that bus just keep going. So I'm like, that's all for now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Big city. I mean, in general, I'd like to not miss our bus calls, and I'm always late, so that would be great.
Modest.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What else?
Catherine asks, what was up with the hockey players?
It's Nashville.
Oh, yeah, I mean, so no, it was very fun to do this and to kind of bring it to Nashville now, like,
Yeah.
right? And we could have gone the route of like a biker gang or something, but we knew that one of the bars had to be you up against, you know, and being an imp with these like big dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And so props to Lisa Halsey, right, our resident Predators fan. And so we wanted to do like a take on the Predators, and she had this great idea. I was like, okay, I want it to be a catfish-based team because of the catfish mascot.
Which I didn't notice until the final edit, and I was like, it's a catfish. How brilliant is that? For those of you who don't know, some of the more hockey, Dan, you're a hockey professional, avid fan. When does the catfish get thrown on the ice?
Is that she may know? It
It's
was a
Red
Detroit
Wings
thing.
games,
Yeah.
playoffs, and the first game of the season.
There you go.
Any
Playoffs.
other time is bad form.
Oh, man.
Right.
No,
But
It happens.
but in those situations, it's totally normal for somebody to come and throw a catfish onto the ice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look it up in the news feed. Anyway, so that's why I
Yeah.
thought that was brilliant.
No, thank you. And we initially I thought we'd call the team the Noodlers because of catfish noodling, but Lisa was like, not my guys. Like, so she came up with the Smashville Cat Flingers, which you could see the name of the team
Yep.
very briefly in the beginning. But the idea was that they would be some of the bad guys, some of the antagonists in this.
It's hilarious. I love it. That's very appropriate because in the presence of sports figures, I am I am nothing. I am the one waiting to be beat up and picked on for sure. So I love that.
You have your own stat joke.
So brilliant. So brilliant. What else?
Nina asks, what were both of your favorite moments in the video?
Me first? Sure. Favorite moment? Honestly, riding off into the sunset on the lava. I just thought that was just an amazing way. That was such a heroic moment with a team of unheroic characters, and I just thought that was absolutely brilliantly executed.
You earned it. Yeah. Do you mind if I call Trey over for that?
100%, yeah,
Trey,
totally.
come grab a
Come
seat.
on over.
Okay.
Just because you called out that moment, this is Trey Bailey, and he animated that moment. So there we go.
That's so brilliant.
Yeah. And then we have another favorite moment that I'll get from you then too. I'd say from mine, initially, okay, two moments. One would be with the way that Ashley drew the llama's face when you initially wake up. It just has this like, that balance of like contemptuousness and then also just kind of like, oh, you're finally up. Like, it just,
Yeah.
like in one drawing, she just sold it. But for me, I really enjoyed doing the part where Mama's gonna cut me out the family tree,
Yeah.
but you're the one sawing.
Yeah, I thought that was so brilliant. Because I was trying to figure out how that was going to go, because obviously, I mean, you know, it's, and I love the picture of Mom in the corner, just like very unapproving, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
in general, but not being the one that's actually, I'm the one doing that.
Yeah, it's all in your hands.
I thought that
Yeah.
was brilliant.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Since you're here, do you have a favorite moment?
Favorite moment? I think it's probably the Pedal Tavern. I think
Oh,
that's
yes.
probably my favorite bit because it's like, you know, you have this almost like come to Jesus moment with like the light shining down on you, and you're like, I shouldn't do this anymore. And then all of a sudden, it's like you get splashed with water, and it's like, nah, I'm gonna do it one more time.
One more
time.
One last little thing. So
But, and I love too the reference to Woohoo and because
that was
they're nicknamed what's the nickname for them?
Blue Girls.
Woo girls, yeah.
Because I used to live in an apartment next to Division Street. If you've ever been in Nashville, Division Street is where you can find Winners, Losers, Rebar, and 4 or 5 other bars that are nonstop up until 3 o'clock in the morning. And I could hear this all day long, which is eventually why I moved out of that apartment building and onto an acre and a half. But I mean, I can tell you, living on a prayer, don't stop believing, man, I feel like a woman. There's one other, Country Girl Shake It For Me. There's one other song, but it was like every time I'd be sitting like working on, you know, on tracks or whatever, and I'd stop, and between the sirens and people just screaming for no apparent reason all day long, you'd hear the Pedal Tavern, and it was like you were like, yep, that's it, based on the playlist alone. But it's such a thing, like the woo-hoo, the fact that was like drawn. I thought that was hilarious.
Cool.
Originally, I think we were gonna call it a Pedal Tavern, but we were like, you know, are people outside of Nashville gonna catch this joke? Which apparently now, like, Pedal Taverns are in Michigan.
They're
or something.
everywhere.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
They're sweeping the nation.
yeah.
Well, everyone's asking, have you guys ever been on pedal taverns? Do you
Okay,
frequent
room
the
poll.
scene?
I would like to know if anybody in this room has been on a Pedal Tavern.
No, not this
You're all
part.
innocent.
No.
You're proven
My
guilty.
daughter did.
I have not
Yes.
been. And I'm
My daughter did.
I haven't.
Never had.
haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. I've been stuck in traffic behind
Oh, yeah.
countless
Yeah.
Pedal
Yeah.
Taverns, but not
Yeah.
online.
Not us.
It's so funny because I was talking to a guy. We were hanging out, and I just got introduced to him, and I was like, "So what do you do, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I run a." Basically, what I'm getting at is he spent 30 minutes telling me what he did without saying that he owned a pedal tavern.
Nice.
He was so
Verbal
embarrassed.
gymnastics.
He was so embarrassed to admit it. I mean, he called it a lot of things. It was like, "Oh, a tourism company," and I was like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome."
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had a friend of mine that worked on one of those as well, and he did the exact same thing. He was like, I'm like a bartender, not
No shame.
really.
Uber driver without the Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was brilliant.
It's funny.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big, like, now that we've finally met, I don't
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody has questions for me. Is that now that we've actually met each other and
Yeah.
like, know each other
No,
basically.
you're right. That's great. I was torn. There was one point where I was like, do I want to pick up the phone and find out what is the thing in the video that sets you off, right? Like, is that one moment where like kind of we put these overlays over your face, and then
Yeah.
I wanted to maybe ask you about the night, but maybe it would not have been the best to animate you watching television while drinking. Like maybe that probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, like how did you feel watching it with that moment of like conflict? You know, that idea of like what leads to the night. Like, did that ring true for you?
Oh yeah,
What's
totally.
worked out?
Well, totally, because the walk down Broadway is so like, I won't be here long, you know. Like,
That's strong, yeah.
I'm coming in. I'm good. I'm gonna have fun, and then I'm gonna go home, and it's gonna be fine. And then it doesn't go that way. I connected with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also too like that general feeling of like once the first shot comes in, it's like, all right, I'm gonna solve the world's problems. I mean, how many times have we done that on the bus at 2, 3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning
Oh, yes.
with the whole band? I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's a whole new cartoon just in that room with that cast of characters, the band and the crew and me and
I can imagine.
yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Did it look like you to you? Did you see yourself in the video?
100%.
Yeah, okay, there you go. That's
Yeah,
always hard to do, but right
Yeah.
on. Ashley nailed it.
Well, yeah. Well, I saw this sort of like a self-imagined version of myself.
Yeah.
I don't look that cool walking down Broadway by a long stretch, but for sure, yeah. No, I felt connected to it, and that was the thing I was most worried about. I was like, okay, when we get this first version, like, because it's already hard for me to give notes on like even music mixes, and this is a session that I created and handed off to one other person
Right.
for 2 days, and already like the translation between concept and result. There's often like I can't email back my mix notes. Like I can't even phone it in. Like I always say like, can I just go? Like even though it's out of town, like can I just go and sit with you for like an hour?
Yeah.
Just so I can see how you're seeing this and translate there,
Yeah.
right? So I was so scared to get the first edit, and I was like, I don't even know how I'm gonna give them notes. Like I don't know how I'm gonna give them any thoughts. And then I got the first edit, and I was like, yeah, we were just everybody on the team is just let them go. Just
All
that's
right.
perfect. So well
That was
done.
Have you actually ever been asked to leave an establishment?
Have I? I don't think I have.
Have you?
I don't think I have. But you know, my 27 years is very young. It's a possibility.
Spring check. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you
when
know,
we
I've-
stay too late somewhere, they're like, get out of here.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
definitely,
Closing, yeah.
Shut
I've
some
definitely,
down.
my buddy who works at one of my favorite places in town, a cigar bar, because he works there, we ended up talking one night, and closed us at like 1:30. We were there till 3, just the two of us,
Yeah,
just
nice.
chatting it up. So
Yeah.
maybe the opposite. End up being,
Stay longer.
cleaning up and helping lock down. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. That works.
Yeah. You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other questions do we have?
I really like this one that Nicole asked. What's all of your go-to drinks for a shot?
Great question.
Oh, yeah.
Great question. Let's start with you.
Maybe go-to drinks. A
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
That's
Goes
yeah.
back,
That's
like,
yeah.
I'm not really a shot guy. Old fashioned.
Okay.
Old fashioned's for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what? It's gonna have to be the same.
Yeah.
It's like an old fashioned is the perfect drink.
Yeah.
Although the Sazerac at Public House, the Cowboy Bar, is really good.
I've never been
Yeah,
there.
so you
Yeah.
old fashioned, I'll say the Sazerac.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
How about yourself?
I mean, for me, it's literally just the reason. So I don't do shots like shots.
Yeah.
I like scotch neat.
Okay.
So it's measured by a shot, right? And so typically it's 1 or 2 at a time.
Okay.
And I'm a big scotch guy.
Yeah.
Super into Islay scotches, which is like the super smoky,
Yeah.
peaty. Not as much into Highlands. Speyside and Skye are
Okay.
like those are my 3
Okay.
zones. Because every region has a totally different flavor palette, and it's consistent among multiple brands over the course of like they'll all approach it differently. But if you're looking for like a specific tasting note,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know where to go, and
That's
you know
cool.
like when you pull a bottle off like some random shelf in some random place, if it's coming from Islay, I trust it. You know what I mean? Like that's
Okay.
that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah. What about yours? Do you have a drink of choice?
Actually.
The closest thing I've ever had to alcohol is that fermented tea drink.
Kombucha.
Love it.
Good for you. I wish I could say that.
Very
Yeah.
different music video. Spurred on by kombucha.
Oh,
Straight
man.
to the halls of Whole Foods.
Yes.
Getting kicked out of Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. What else?
Heather just said congratulations on becoming a cartoon, which
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
And one that I wanted to be.
Nina had a good follow-up question. So she asked how long the video took to make, and she followed up and said if it took 400 hours to make the video, how long did the production on the song take?
There you go.
Nina's asking the tough questions.
Yeah.
Just taking notes.
It's not a tough question, it's an embarrassing question. The video, 400 hours?
Mhm.
What's the relationship you were talking about, man hours?
Well, because you have multiple people working at the same time.
Right.
So if you went by days, that's not
Right.
accurate. So by number of hours people work, 400 hours.
Man hours, okay, so it, it took production on the song, took a day. It was done in one day. It was written in an hour, and I gave myself until a certain time because I really wanted to get to work on the production. Once I decided to start going with the piano riff and then the title, I was writing because I had scheduled a co-write and my co-writer couldn't make it because of snow or something. And my publisher had encouraged me at the beginning of the year, like, hey, you should write by yourself more, which I haven't done in probably 5 years, just based on insecurities alone. And so I kind of like got this email in bed, half awake, realizing that it didn't matter that they weren't showing up. I couldn't take the day off. I had to write by myself.
Yeah.
And so I started pulling from musical ideas, found the piano thing, and I knew that no one would ever, like, if I brought that into any other room, they'd be like, yeah, that's really cool, man. We should write something else, though. Like, they would politely say, you know, that's a terrible idea. So I knew that that was going to happen to that idea, so I knew that the piano thing was important, and I loved the riff. What I love even more is the voice memo notes of me trying to play the riff, which you guys will see soon. But and then the lyric, the one shot at a time, was actually something my bartender at the cigar bar that I love to go to, Patrick, I walk in, I sit at the bar, he's like, the usual? Which I love having a usual. I love being that guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I think so. He was like, 1, 2, as he's walking away, 1, 2. I was like, one at a time.
There you
So
go.
that's where the title came from. And so anyway, so long story short, I wrote it and I gave myself, like I finished writing like the verse 1A and verse 1B and then the chorus. Chorus was actually first. The chorus just fell out. And I gave myself a certain amount of time, like an hour and a half, 30 minutes upstairs. Because even though I was done writing the song, I knew that there was more to say. And so kept writing, kept coming up with ideas, and then it was finally like, I think it was like 11:30. I was like, okay, I'm going downstairs. And so I started working on it. I started with the claps was like, it had to just be very clappy, right? So finding the claps, programming the claps, and then just walking over to the piano, over the claps looping for like 10 minutes, and playing everything that I thought I heard for the song, and then going back in, chopping it up, okay, that's the intro, this is the verse version because it's not 2 octaves, it's 1 octave, and then I like the answers, so that's going to be in the second half of the verse, copy paste, and then chorus, no piano. And then working with electrics and working with different things, and then I wanted to jump on the drum kit, which later we replaced my drums with Jared Neal, and Andy came in and played the really fun piano, like the quirky, like things that sound like a drunk guy stumbling out of a bar.
Yeah.
That was like one take for him, and then I had all 3 guys. Well, and Matt played upright bass actually on all the verses because I felt like the verses just needed to be very organic and very like in the room, and he crushed it. He did a couple of cool like runs and stuff that felt drunk as well, which was perfect. And then I had all 3 guys go in a room, and I just let the song roll on loop for 3 takes, and I pretended not to look at them. And I just said, if you guys want to have a party, like scream, shout, do whatever, holler. So it was.
Is one of them saying, shut up, Matt?
Yep.
Yeah. I heard that and I was
Yes.
like, that made me crack up laughing every time.
Yep. Matt's the bass player,
Okay.
and that's Andy.
Okay.
There you
Their drunk names are Chuck and Gene. Your drunk name typically on our bus is your middle name.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Unless that middle name is somebody else's first name, then we have to discover one for you, which is not a voted situation.
Yes.
It's a moment and it sticks.
Okay.
And
Yeah, totally.
it's sometimes great, sometimes not. But so anyway, so those things happened. The band played on the song, and that probably took like 6 hours on another day. But in all actuality, like the vocal was recorded before anything else was. So the piano riff, I just sang over the piano riff. and then the electrics were all done in the basement at home. So the song was done and not mixed, but like finished in kind of like 12 hours. When did I send you the video of the song? Because I was like, dude,
That afternoon.
like that afternoon, like 4 or something, and then I kept kind of working on it. So the point is not to say that like a lot got done quickly. The point is, like there was not a lot of thinking involved. It was a lot of just like this is how the song feels. You know, my editing mind would have gone, okay, the riff is great on the piano, but it cannot go all the way through the song. But it does. In different formats, it continues through the song. One, it's not chromatic. One's more kind of major scale based. One's kind of weird minor scale based. One's just kind of like somebody who'd never learned the riff is playing the riff. So anyway, this is the stuff I like to nerd out about.
Yeah,
so
I
I
like it too.
apologize.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, total of 12 hours in the basement, which is my home studio, and then like 6 or 7 hours at another studio with the band guys. So it took, I think, 1/100th, or it took a 10th of the hours that the animation video took to make the song, which is kind of embarrassing. Anyway, it's been great. Thanks for yeah, what else? What other questions do you have?
Okay, I'm trying to find one good, like, last one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna let you guys go here pretty soon, because I know you guys are working on 20 different projects, but I'm really excited about
Same here.
finally getting to
Good to
talk
meet
to you
you.
guys
Yeah,
about
totally.
so many of these things. There was one another specific thing I wanted to ask about. I can't remember. We'll take a
These ones are so
It was
good.
one of those Easter eggs.
I'd love to see like your list of Easter eggs that you caught, because there are
good.
some that I didn't know about because there's different people working on it.
Dude, the collage of like the news review,
Mm-hmm.
the email, the text to Blake.
Text to Blake.
What was it, seen 5 months ago? So incredible. The dig on the with the management email. Actually, an animated video is a terrible
Well,
idea. Was one of my favorite things of the entire video.
That's
It's
funny.
absolutely fantastic. The review on the news
Oh.
review, more like one shit. It's so amazing. It
I
just
think
totally.
we had those up at first, and they popped up on the original storyboards I was working on, and I was like, that's a little harsh.
No, but what I loved about it was it totally perfectly sort of includes everything that as an artist you end up having to deal with, which is like, no, your idea is terrible. Song comes out, critics think it's the worst thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
You know, all those different things. It was
Yeah.
so
Cool.
perfect.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Reaching out to friends in the business and not
just
just
drill
getting
them.
anything back. You know, that feeling. I just thought that was brilliant. It was so well done.
Cool, man.
What else?
Okay, well, this one from Janati. She says, to what extent does the animation in the video relate to the real event?
I mean, what's funny is like, so, you know, granted Cole's was kind of, you know, designed obviously with it was these guys' idea, but it did kind of remind me of like my little cigar bar, which I love.
Oh,
Like,
right on.
just like as far as color-wise, it's more exciting, but there was something in like the lighting or some kind of approach to it that felt familiar. I mean, it's all pieces of. I've yet to stand on a bar with a broomstick,
Yes.
but that's just a yet thing. That's not a never thing. I mean, for the most part, I felt like it was incredibly accurate, which, like I said, I kept watching the final edit going, what all did I tell them? Like, how much detail? Like, obviously, a lot's exaggerated. And I don't think I've ever had a bar fight with a hockey player, but I just can't remember it maybe. But other than that, I mean, it was what I loved was the spirit of like
Yeah.
the friends and like the llama, the way the llama is. The llama basically it's so funny because someone thinks that they are the llama and
That's
that
great.
I made them into the llama, which is hilarious.
I love it. Yes.
Because I did not. However, it's believed by them and people around them that they are the llama, which is hilarious. But it does kind of like represent friends in a lot of ways, close friends that
Yeah.
Nice.
help you through, judge you through it, and then they help you make it out alive. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love it.
Deal.
Good way to summarize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know. Wow. Well, yeah. So, guys, I mean, I can't even like brilliant work times 10. Like, I'm so blown away by all of this. This is far beyond what I hoped for, what I expected. yeah, I was telling these guys when I walked in because like I said, I just got to meet him for the first time today. It was so incredible how how connected the dream was with the finished product, but to the nth degree, like it's absolutely phenomenal. So, well done to the entire team. You guys absolutely knocked this out of the
Thanks for
park.
that.
Thank you so much.
It's fantastic.
And the material's strong. Like,
Yeah.
it's clear that you were going new places. And if it took a day, it was a day of inspiration.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
it was, 400 hours on our part unpacking all that you had in that nugget.
Yeah.
So honestly, it was rich material, and then you basically said, "Go play."
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we can't ask for anything better.
Well, good. Well, don't worry, guys. There's more. Anyway, thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you guys, all studio. Let's give a hand for everybody in this.
Thank you, guys.
You guys crushed it, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Our pleasure.
So appreciate it. Thank you.
Right on.
Thank you guys for
Thank you,
joining
fans.
us. Thanks for your questions, and keep watching because there's always more. Cheers, guys. We'll see you soon.